Peace, peace, family. What's going on? Peace, family. What's going on? I hope all is well. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, shalom, hotep, Islam, alafia, peace, peace. Man, I'm glad to be back. I don't know if you know, I was blocked from going live. So I actually had to go live on other people's live. I was blocked from going live, but alhamdulillah, I'm back. Thank y'all for tapping in. I'm back. I was blocked from going live for about 3 weeks. So let's see. I'm supposed to have a guest. I just sent him the request. Peace, good evening. I just sent him the request, so let's see if he taps in. Alright, but in the meantime, in between time, thank you for tapping in, family. Thank you for tapping in. Hey, I'm fresh off of work. So, but you know, I had to tap in and give you some reminders, give you some jewels for the week as far as education is concerned, right? So, you know, every school is a bit different. Right? So if you don't know, I'm a teacher, first grade, elementary, and started last week, we started testing our students for reading, right? Our school called it STEP. So we started stepping our students to see where they're at as far as their reading level, right? And so we're in March, so their reading levels definitely has increased. So if their reading level was, say, a step 1, they definitely increased towards a step 3 while in school, you know, while teachers teaching them. And I teach reading mastery, right? So I teach them their letter sounds. I teach them basically how to read, how to put words and blends together. And so I just say that to say that this week again, today is Monday, we started stepping our students. And yes, they have improved. But I'm thinking like, damn, they could have improved even more if they was reading at home, right? And I know you like damn, like that's that's kind of harsh. Like, why would you say they're not reading at home? Well, I say that to say because I know. I asked them themselves, like, hey, do you read at home? You know, do you? Because half of them don't even do their homework, right? And the other half that do their homework, they're doing it, but it's like they're doing it by themselves. So they may miss a certain part of the homework that they didn't really capture. And I'm like, listen, it's important for you to ask somebody at home to help you. Like, listen, these children don't even ask for help. They shouldn't even have to ask for help to begin with. They shouldn't have to ask for help. If you see, it could be a little cousin, it could be a little niece, nephew, especially your son or your daughter. Ask them, let me see your homework. Let me see what you did in school today. I know when I was young, I used to get that from my older cousins. I used to get that from my aunt. I grew up with my aunt. I mean, at the beginning, she used to be like, let me see your homework. Let me see what you did in school today. Right? But damn, like I'm asking these students and they're like, I'm like, yo, why don't you ask your father for help? Why don't you ask your mother for help? Whoever's home, why don't you ask them for help? They just shrug their shoulders. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's a problem. So I just say that to say, if you guys are now tuning in, I just did a step assessment on my students today And most of them did well. Most of them improved because we've been in school since August. And so, of course, they will improve, right? If they have great teachers, of course, they will improve. But they're only improving 1 step level, maybe 2 step levels, okay? And so the first grade reading level is at least a step 6, 5 or 6. First grade reading level is a step 6. So I'm telling you this. You may have first graders. You may know your little cousin, your little niece and nephew in first grade. Ask them what's their reading level. Most times they know because we tell them. So their reading level is the level of which they should be on, right? So if their reading level is a step 3, they're reading below a first grade reading level. So they need to, and we tell them, we give them words, sight words, right? If you're a parent, you know about sight words and things of that nature. We give them sight words for them to study on. Sight words, if you don't know, sight words are high frequency words, right? I'm telling you, you could be a parent or you can be a future parent in the near future. Sight words are high frequency words. High frequency words are words that you see on a continuous basis when you're reading a story, right? So that's so, the, what, who, when, is, her, his, him. All of those words that once you see it, you know it. Those are sight words for the children. Once you see it, you know it. Well, even for us, right? Because I find that although I'm teaching my students reading mastery is the subject, adults can be learning this too, right? So it's not just secluded and confined in just children. No, adults can be learning as much as the children. So anyway, let me get back on track. So the students, right? The students are not reading at the reading level that they should be reading on. Why? Because they are not getting the extra, we call it at-bats. They're not getting the extra tutelage. They're not getting the extra training and attention at home. They're only getting it at school. They're only getting it at school. So I always say that a child only educated at school is an uneducated child. Again, a child only educated at school is an uneducated child. So what do I mean? A child must be educated at school, yes, but it must also be educated at home. It must also be educated at home. If the child is just being educated at school, there's only so much a teacher can teach the child. There's only so much a teacher can teach a child. So it must be the parent and it must be the teacher. It must be both working together to help elevate and empower the child. Because what is the African proverb? It takes a village to raise a child. It takes so we must really take that proverb into context. It's not only the teacher. A lot of parents wants to put all the weight on the teacher. You know, most of my babies can't even tie their shoes. Most of them can't even tie their shoes. And I'm like, dang, you mean to tell me I gotta teach you how to tie your shoes as well? Man, people don't know. Teachers have a tough job. Teachers are not only teachers or educators. Teachers are your children's consolers. Teachers are your children's first nurse and first doctor. When they're hurt, most times it's not even, but if their teeth is hurting them, they come to us. My teeth is hurting me. If they have a little scratch, they come to us. Most times it's nothing, but they like to exaggerate. I have a little scratch, right? I have a little boo-boo. They come to us. If they're not feeling well, if their stomach is aching, right? Second parents, right? And you know, most times it don't be nothing that drastic, but they come to us. We are their first line of defense. We are their first line of defense. So we're doing everything else in addition to teaching and making sure that they learn something. Huh? So you need to tell me we must also teach them how to tie their shoes? We must also teach them, you know, like how to eat. Some of them don't know how to eat properly. Some of them don't know manners, right? So all of these things must be taught at home. I'm not getting on the parents. I'm just saying what I see and from my own experience. The parents could be doing a better job just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit. I understand we're all working. We don't have enough time, right? But this is why the two-parent household is a necessity. I'm not saying just be with anybody. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that a two-parent household is a necessity. Because again, I see it from my own experience. The children that are on a first grade reading level, the children that are doing their homework and doing it properly and doing it completely. There's one thing to do your homework and then you're missing like 2 parts. That's like you haven't completed your homework. So that's the next part. Where the children are completing their homework. The children have manners. The children, yes ma'am, yes Mr. Cummings, yes Miss So-and-so, yes Mr. So-and-so. Huh? The children can tie their shoes properly. The children can eat properly. You can tell when a child has a two-parent household from when the child has a one-parent household. When the child has a one-parent household, most times, that child is coming in late from school. I know. I see it in the classroom. And granted, yes, you have a lot to do. You have a lot on your plate. But I'm just saying the difference between a two-parent household and a one-parent household. There's a big difference. There's a big difference, right? So, listen. Making sure that you create, I say this all the time, create an educational foundation inside the home. Making sure that you create an educational environment and foundation for your home. There's something that's called the Matthew effect. I'm going to type it in. There's something that's called the Matthew effect. Look it up. There's something that's called the Matthew effect. Right? You know, white people, they love graphs. They love numbers. They love statistics. I'm telling you, they do. My school is driven on numbers and statistics. So, the Matthew effect, look it up. The Matthew effect it tells you that the reason why we are a low income, impoverished, disenfranchised people is because we do not read. Simple. It's because we do not read. Look it up. So when the European, when its child is 2, 3, 4, it's already reading. They already have a library inside their house for the child. Let me ask you this. If you're a parent, do you have a library for your child? Put 1 in the chat. I want to see something. We have about 17 people in the chat right now. If you're a parent and you have a child, do you have a library for your baby? Your baby can be 6 months. Your baby can be 6 years young. Do you have a library for your child? I don't see a one yet. And I know I have some parents on this live right now. Yes, meaning you do have a library? That's great. That's great. I have 2. I have about 16 people on the live right now. I know I have more parents than that. You following me? So, okay, that's 3. So that's less than 1%. Okay, that's 4. A small library. Okay? I should see more ones. I should see more people. It's only a good handful. I only see a good 4 or 5. It's only a good handful. Something wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. Right? I'm not getting on you. I'm just saying for you to think. For you to think. Clothes is good, but we outgrow the clothes. Clothes are trendy. Huh? Next year, something else may be in style. You're going to go and buy that too? Education is not trendy. Education is traditional. Education is traditional. Making sure that your child can read. Huh? We should be able, listen, when your child is young, your child should be learning how to read so that he can read to learn. There's a difference. When your child is young, your child should be learning how to read the blends, the vowels, the pronouns, the consonants, the letter sounds of the alphabets. Your child should be learning how to read so that when he or she is older, they can read to learn. They can read to learn. Now, as we're adults, we still can't read to learn. We still can't read to learn because a part of reading to learn is comprehension. I'm giving you the jewels right now. It's comprehension. So, if you don't want to read for yourself, if you don't want to comprehend what you're reading for yourself, at least do it for your son. At least do it for your daughter. So that they won't have to go through what you're going through right now. Huh? All of these big athletes, they make it, everybody want to talk about wealth. Everybody want to talk about financial literacy. Huh? Yeah, you need money, but you need to read. Huh? In order for you to properly invest in stocks, bonds, and ETFs and cryptocurrency, what do you need to do? You need to read. You need to understand what you're reading. Huh? So we can go on YouTube, we can listen, but we still need to read with our eyes. We still need to comprehend what we're putting our hard-earned money into. Huh? So reading is very foundational to your success. Let me know if I'm making sense. I don't want to feel like I'm getting on you. Reading. Huh? I always say, a reading people is a rising people. Look at the Asians. Most of the Asians are engineers. Most of the Asians are tech savvy. Huh? Talk to me. They love reading. Even if they don't love reading, they know that reading is an integral, vital part to their success. Even if you don't love it. Some of us don't like working out. Some of us don't like going to work, but we have to do it, right? Some of us don't like going to work. Some of us don't like our coworkers, but we know it's a necessity in order to get something in exchange. So we may not love reading. We may not love education. I mean, I do. We may not love education, but know that education is something that we need in order for us to progress onward and forward. We can't look to invest, and that's the hot thing now, financial literacy. Everybody want to be investors. Huh? Everybody want to know about cryptos and ETFs and digital currency and all that. Well, in order for you to know, you need knowledge. You need to know. But in order for you to know, you need to read. Reading is the foundation to it all. I don't care what nobody say. Yeah, you can have a mentor, but you still need to do the work for yourself. You still need to read for yourself. You still need to comprehend to a degree for yourself. You can't have so-and-so do all the work for you. Nah, you can't have your mentor do all the work for you. You need to do some work for yourself. You need to read and comprehend for yourself. So if you're willing to do that for yourself, please Make sure that you do that for your son. Make sure you do that for the babies. We're trying to change and break the cycle. We're trying to we're talking about generational wealth, but it won't mean nothing. It won't mean nothing if the younger babies can't read. Can read, write, and comprehend. It won't mean nothing. Yeah, our generation can get rich and can pass on something to our babies, but it won't mean nothing if they can't read, write, and comprehend. They're going to end up losing the money. They're going to end up wasting it. Or they're going to end up wasting it, or they're going to end up having to work twice as hard as us. Twice as hard as us in order to keep and sustain that wealth. Because now they have to play catch up. Just like we're playing catch up. We're playing catch up. Why? Because our parents didn't give us the tools. Right or wrong? Our parents didn't give us the knowledge. So we're having to play catch up. We're having to work twice as hard. We're having to study twice as hard in order to play catch up to our counterparts so that we can pass on something to our babies. At least we have that type of mindset, right? All of us like, yo, I need to get it so I can pass on something to my babies because I don't want to have them to work twice as hard. So now, in addition, you're on the right track. But I need y'all to understand that education is the key to all of this. Because yes, us, those born in the 70s, those born in the 80s, I have some that's following me, those born in the 90s, we have the right mentality to want to pass on something and give the knowledge on to our younger babies. But in addition, in giving the knowledge on to our younger babies, we must also cultivate and groom them into reading, into becoming avid readers. So I need for you, this is your homework. I need for you to start to give them a small library. It could be small, no matter their age. They could be in 5th grade, 9, 10 years young. They could be 6 weeks old. It doesn't matter. Start to build that library. Do you know that before a baby is born, the Europeans already have a bank account for their unborn baby? They already have a bank account. They're already thinking currency. They're already thinking monetary funds. So it's vital for us to also think that way so that we can move the goalposts closer to the finish line. Because as Dr. Claude Anderson said, yes, this is a race. If you want to believe it or not, this is a race. And who can get the most natural resources? Who can get the most properties on earth? Who can get the most money? Who can get the most everything? This is a race, if you want to believe it or not. And so this is why we are completely excluded out of the race. Because they know if we come together, this is why unity is also important, right? All of this are interconnected with one another. Unity, having the oneness and harmony of one another, making sure that we don't quarrel. I just posted a video by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She's talking about a code of conduct. We need a code of conduct. Making sure that we don't quarrel. Making sure that we don't argue. We don't cuss. We don't fight with one another. We don't sell drugs to one another. All of these are important. Code of conduct. We don't have that. We don't even have a code of ethics. Right? Ethic. Making sure that you're doing something properly. We don't have a code of ethic within even our family. So all of this is important. Start small. Making sure that you create a book club within your family. It could just be your husband. It could just be your wife. Start small. Okay? I'm thinking about starting a book club. But again, it's a lot of work on me because I also work. I'm also a teacher. So my hands are tied, right? But making sure that you start small. Start a library. If you don't have a library inside your house, you are far behind. You are far behind. All right. So making sure that you also, for the people who are just tuning in, making sure that you look up the Matthew effect. Look up the Matthew effect. Okay, I'm gonna pin it. Look up the Matthew effect. So again, for the people that are now tuning in, the Matthew effect is basically a bar graph, right? It's basically a bar graph. So you're going to see two lines going up. One line is going higher. One line starts, both lines starts at the same level, right? So then you have one line steadily goes up. Then you have the other line goes up a little bit, and then it's like stagnated. It's stagnated. So the line that goes up, that's the European line, right? White people, European, I call them Europeans. So the Europeans, because it was the Europeans who came over to the Americas, right? So they're still Europeans. But in any case, so the Europeans, so they know that the more knowledge you have and the more education you have, and I'm not talking about the institutional education, how many degrees you have. No, I'm just talking about education as far as how many books you read and how much you know. Okay? Because you can have self-education and still be smarter than the person who has a master's degree. You can be self-educated and still be smarter than the person who have a doctorate degree. For example, Malcolm X, El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz. I proved my point, right? In any case, so the Matthew effect is Europeans, as the younger they are, the more they know. The younger they are, the more they know. So the more they know, they start to widen the wealth gap because they know so much and they have connections. So this is what I'm telling you. One of the reasons why the wealth gap is so large, is so far apart from Africans to Europeans, is because of what they know. And what they know is based on the education that they have. And the education is based on their reading capacity. Their reading capacity. So the more you read, the more you know. Simple. Am I making sense? The more you read, the more you know. The more you read, the more knowledge you gain. Huh? The more you read, the more knowledge you gain. So, the reason why we're not closing the wealth gap is not because we're not earning enough. That's a part of it. Yes, obviously we're not earning enough because we don't know enough. We're not earning enough money because we don't know enough information. Information changes your compensation. I'm going to say that again. Information changes your compensation. So the more you know, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you earn. And the more you earn, the more you learn. And so this is why I see that we are still at the position that we are. Statistically speaking, we all know numbers don't lie. So, statistically speaking, the more you know, the more you grow. Okay? Information, the more information you have, the better off you'll be. Everyone knows that. I hope you know that. The more information you have, the better off you'll be. So, what do you got to do? You got to read more. You got to read more. One of the main reasons why Europeans are better off than us, yes, because of discriminations and so forth. But apart from that, one of the main reasons why Europeans are better off than us, because they read more. They have more information, period. They have more information. So yes, they have a system that helps them to a degree, but what, we're going to blame everything on them? What are we doing about it? What are we doing? Are we making sure that we know as much as possible? No. Are we making sure that we read as much as possible? Because we all know by reading, we gain knowledge. And the root word to knowledge is to know. So the reason why we don't know is because we don't read. Or we don't read enough. We don't read enough. And we all know the many benefits to reading. I could go into that, but I don't have enough time today. I don't want to, right? So let me know if you have any questions or concerns, family. I don't want to feel like I'm just talking. Let me know if I want this to be interactive. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. So for your homework, I want you to research the Matthew effect. Let me see. I want you to research the Matthew effect. And let me know what you think about it. Okay? It talks about the wealth gap. It talks about the wealth gap and why we as African black people are so far behind. Okay? So, I'm going to read the definition to you. In the educational community, Matthew effect refers to the idea that in reading, as in other areas in life, the richer you get and the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. How is that so? How is that so? That the rich gets richer, and we all heard that saying before. The rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. When children fail at early reading and writing, they begin to dislike reading. They read less than their classmates who are stronger readers. Okay? So the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. One of the main reasons why the rich get richer is because they read. I can't emphasize that enough. And again, while we get poorer and poorer, it was just this statistic that just came out. I think it was earlier this year, right? It was on Forbes. Although we have a $1 trillion spending power, we are still getting poorer. We are still getting poorer. Why is that? So as I said earlier, it's not about the money. We're getting money. We're getting money. But we don't know what to do with that money. And again, it goes back to the knowledge. Goes back to the knowledge. The root word of knowledge is to know. So if you don't know, it's because you don't read. It's because you don't read. And so if you don't read, you can't grow. If you can't grow, you can't be your best. And if you can't be your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, well, what else is there in life if you can't be happy? Some of the most wealthiest people are unhappy. Some of the most wealthiest people are unhappy. So as I said, if you don't know, which is knowledge, if you don't have knowledge, you can't grow. If you can't grow, you can't be your best. And if you can't be your best, you can't be happy at your best. And if you can't be happy, well, what else is there? What else is there? We all know that happiness is the key to life. That's a gem. Happiness is the key to life. I seen a question. Thank you for your question, beloved. Thank you for your question. Let's see. Thank you for your question. Let's see. I see this one here. how do you comprehend what you, I guess you meant to say, how do you comprehend what you read? How do you comprehend what you read? I think that's what you're asking, right? So how do you comprehend what you read? So I'm going to take a couple questions and I'm going to get off the live. Okay, so the homework for tonight is researching the Matthew effect. Okay? So how do you comprehend what you read? Easy. Go back. So start small. Read a paragraph, right? And we all done this in school. So some of us love to badger and shun public school. Most of us grew up in public school, right? So in public schools, we had to do book reports. That's the next thing. We don't even do book reports anymore. But in any case, most of us growing up, I know I did, I had to do book reports, right? And so in book reports, you had to read and you had to write a report of what you read. That's a comprehension piece to what you just read, right? But even before that, take it bit by bit. When you're reading a book, read a paragraph first. Then from that paragraph, say to yourself, okay, what I've just read. And not regurgitating, but in your own words. If you can, in your own words, tell yourself what you just read, then you, my friend, have comprehended the paragraph which you just read. Because, have you noticed, it could be many books. Whatever books you're reading. You can even read a sentence, right? And it could be something like, the effect of the climate was so devastating that it broadened its horizon or something like that, right? You're like, damn. If you stop to think about it, you're like, damn, what I just read. You have to think about that, right? So in the comprehension piece, making sure that you tell yourself in your own words what you just read. If you can do that, and if you can understand it, what you just read, you, my friend, have just comprehended what you just read. Right? So comprehension is the key to reading. Let me say that. Comprehension is the key to reading. So, as I just read, right? So, let me read this. So, the Matthew effect of accumulated advantage, Matthew principle, or Matthew effect for short, is sometimes summarized by the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. The concept is applicable to matters of fame or status, but may also be applied literally to accumulative advantage. Now, what I've just read, if I can tell you in my own words what I just read, I've just comprehended what I've just read. So I can say the Matthew effect is the Matthew effect is a consolidation of those who read more would be more at advantage. And in being at an advantage, you earn more money and you have a certain stature in which you possess. Right? So that would be my comprehension of what I just read, the Matthew effect. Right? So it's in your own words, regurgitating what you just read. Let me see if I have another question. So again, family, making sure that you know as much as possible, because information changes your compensation, as I just read. Okay, the more you read, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you earn. Simple. So for the parents that's on this live, for the parents, making sure that you have a small library for your children. Making sure that you have a small, let me take another survey because I have more followers now, or I have more people on the live. I have about 20. So family, if you're a parent and if you have a small library for your child, drop a 1 in the chat. I want to see something. Let's see something real quick. If you're a parent, you have a son or daughter, and you have a small library for your child, drop a 1 in the chat. Let me see something real quick. Drop a 1 in the chat. I'm not seeing nothing. Drop a 1 in the chat. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Okay, I see 1. Okay. Shout out to I Am Living Aligned. All right. Okay, I think I'm seeing the same ones from before. Ain't no shade. I'm seeing the same ones as before. Okay. Okay. I'm seeing the same ones as before. Right? So that's important, family. Making sure that your child falls in love with reading at a young age. Making sure that your child falls in love with reading at a young age is very paramount. Making sure that your child falls in love with reading at a young age. Making sure that your child learns how to read at a young age. We want to buy these clothes. We want to buy the Yeezys, huh? We want to buy the Jordans, huh? We are still infatuated with materialistic things. But these things are going to help us to thrive. Huh? These things is going to help us to thrive. These things is going to help us to thrive. How many of you have a dictionary at home? Drop a 2, a number 2 in the chat if you have a dictionary at home. Numero dos. Drop a number 2 if you have a dictionary at home. These are the things that matters, family. I'm telling you. These are the things. Because once you get money, you can make your own clothing line. You can make your own clothing line once you get money. I only see 1, 2. Huh? I see 2 2s, 3. That's the same one. Shout out to Mato_Lavi or Levy. My fault if I mispronounce your IG. Okay? He or she has a small library and a dictionary. Okay? So I'm seeing a little bit more too. But that's still only a handful. That's still only a handful. Now I'm talking about a hard cover. Something that you can hold in your hand. Google is alright, but I'm talking about one of these. Because we do know, so we know that Instagram has how can I say it? So over the years, Instagram has like gone out, right? I don't know the word for it, but we know that Instagram has not been working at a certain period of time, right? Sometimes we get on, we try to refresh, and it's not working, right? So it has come to a glitch. That's the word. So Instagram sometimes has come to a glitch. And so if Instagram can come to a glitch, so can the internet can also come to a glitch. That hasn't happened yet, but it may soon happen, right? So you always want to back up. You always want to back up. Because let's say the internet do come to a glitch and we can't go on the internet anymore. Let's say we can't go on the internet for an hour. What are we going to do? 2 hours, 3 hours. What are we going to do? We're going to depend. Look. So we're constantly depending on the system. We're going to depend on them for them to turn it back on. Instead of already being 2 steps ahead of the curve. Okay, I already have my books. Right? Let me read Let me read something real quick so that I can be ahead of the curve. Let me read some so that I don't have to depend on internet. I don't have to depend on a system. What if the internet comes to a glitch? We all know the blackout, right? The blackout, I think it was like in early 2000s. The blackout happened. I remember that. All the lights, all the electricity ran with it. It was off. All of it was off. What did we have to do? We had to wait. We had to sit and wait until the electricity comes back on. You mean to tell me in the technology age, we're going to sit and wait until the internet comes back on? We're going to again become a slave to something that we can avoid? Huh? So, yes. Making sure that we are reading, family. I don't know how I can emphasize that. All right? Yes, a book a day keeps ignorance away. Indeed, indeed. All right, family, so awesome. Listen, making sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like what you heard, if you learned anything today, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. The Matthew effect is very key. Okay, the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer by reading. By reading. During this pandemic, the rich have become richer because they know more. How do they know more? Because they read more. Why do they read more? Because they know that education is vital. They know that education is vital. And not only education is vital, but they're using the education that they have. Because a lot of us like to say knowledge is power. No. I tend to disagree. Applied knowledge is true power. This is why the rich get richer. Because they apply what they know. They apply the information that they get. They apply it. So applied knowledge is true power. So if you like what you heard, if you learned anything, information changes your conversation. Okay? Making sure that you create your household, making sure that your household is a foundation for education. Making sure that your household is an environment for learning. That's the next thing. Making sure that your household is an environment for learning. My last point, and I'm going to get off. Making sure that you subscribe. Donate. You can donate. Cash App. $ DTR 360 books. This is not easy. I've been disabled for a reason. So when you go to the library, can you talk? Can you play loud music? Can you what else? Can you talk like how I'm talking? No. What do you have to do? You have to be quiet. Because in the environment of attentiveness brings forth learning and comprehension. So I say that to say at home, if the TV is on, if daddy, cousin, aunt, uncle is arguing, if the radio is on, if the laptop is on, your child cannot focus properly. Your child cannot comprehend. There goes that word again, right? Comprehend. Your child will have a hard time comprehending what they're doing. Even if they're doing some math problems, they may end up miscalculating because the TV is on. They may end up miscalculating because John and Tay and KK and Taylor and them is arguing, or they might be playing. So making sure that you create a learning environment for your household. Exercise, making sure that you exercise the learning capabilities inside your house. Because the school is a learning environment. So when your son and your daughter reaches home, your home must also be a constant learning environment for them as well. Okay? So if you love what you've heard, if you learned anything, make sure that you subscribe. We're trying to get to up to 1,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of March. Making sure that you subscribe to the YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type in DTR 360 Books. All right? Making sure that you follow our podcast outlets. Subscribe to our podcast outlets. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Audible. We're on Amazon Music. All podcast streaming platforms we are on. Just type in DTR 360 Books and support us. If you learned anything today, support. If I've given you any motivation to read, support us. If you've learned something, support us. If you now know what the Matthew Effect is, support us. Go to YouTube, go to Facebook, like our page, go to Twitter, follow us. Okay, tell somebody about us. Spread the word. Okay, because again, the information changes your conversation. So if you don't read, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't be your best. And if you can't be your best, well, what else is there? And if you can't be your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? So making sure that we be happy. But the foundation to it is reading. The foundation to it is education. The foundation to it is knowledge. And again, the root word to knowledge is to know. The root word to knowledge is to know. So why don't we go out and know? Know as much as possible. This is what life is about. Going out, learning as much as possible. So that we can learn as much as possible. And if we learn a lot, we can earn a lot. That's a simple formula. Why do you think they pay all the doctors, I'm talking about PhD doctors, all the money. And I'm talking about the medical doctors, all the money. Why do you think they pay them all the money? Why do you think they pay the lawyers all the money? Huh? Why do you think the CEOs get paid all? Because they know a lot. Huh? They know a lot. The minimum wage worker don't know as much as the CEO. So it's that information, it's that knowledge gap. The CEO knows all that he or she can know. That's why they have all the money. The minimum wage worker only knows but so much. So you're getting paid crumbles, pennies. You're not getting paid that much because you don't know much. So go out and know as much as possible so that you can change your family's last name. Man, I love y'all to life. I love y'all. Make sure that you read. Make sure that you educate yourself. Because we now have the capacity to educate ourselves. Our ancestors didn't have that capacity. Our ancestors didn't have that luxury. Education is a luxury. Education is a luxury because if they be like, you can't read, you can't write, if I catch you reading and writing, you will lose your job. Huh? If I catch you reading and writing, we will kill you. So in today's time, writing is a luxury. Writing is a luxury. Alright? I don't know who this is, driving.88. Writing is a luxury. Alright, well, I accept it. I don't know what happened. Alright, well, they left. Alright, family, so that's it. Definitely, if you learned anything, support. That's all I ask. Donate, okay? Cash App, $ DTR 360 Books. Support. YouTube, we're trying to get our subscribers up. Support. Follow and subscribe on our podcast outlets. Support. Buy a book for yourself. Click the link in the bio. Support. Buy a book for your babies. Making sure that we build a reading library for our babies. Support. The link is in the bio, but I can type it in right here before I get off. DTR360books.com. All right, DTR360books.com. Make sure that you support. Click the link in the bio. And that's it, man. Thank you. Thank you. I've been on for about an hour. Thank you. Also, buy a badge. If you see the badge right there, make sure that you support. Buy a badge. This is what I'm talking about. We need to support one another. If I'm bringing you knowledge and valuable knowledge, then you need to support. Because you're not learning the Matthew effect in college. You're not learning the Matthew effect anywhere else. All right, family, make sure you DM me. I'm about to get off. Make sure you DM me. I'm about to log off. All right, so the Matthew effect. The richer get richer and the poor gets poorer. All right, so you can look it up for yourself. Okay, the Europeans, they have a love for reading at a young age that gives them the information that they need so that they can earn more money. As we get older, as African Black people get older, we tend to have a dislike for reading as we get older. We tend to have a dislike for education as we get older. We tend to have a dislike for education as we get older. We tend to have a dislike for mathematics as we get older. So we need to reverse that. We need to reverse that. As we get older, we need to have we need to gravitate towards education more. As we get older, we need to gravitate towards mathematics more. As we get older, we need to gravitate towards reading more, having a love for reading. Our ancestors died. A lot of people love to, one more point. A lot of people love to say our ancestors died for voting. Well, our ancestors died for reading. Our ancestors died for writing. Our ancestors died for education. And yet, here we are, not even living up to that advantage. Or not even living up to that right. Because it is our right to read. It is our right to know as much as possible. So our ancestors died for reading. Our ancestors died for writing. Our ancestors died to build schools. Our ancestors died to have us, future generations, to have the luxury of reading, which we do now. And what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? We're not taking advantage of the opportunity. So take advantage. Read, write, do some book reports. If you don't want to do it for you, do it for your babies. So I leave you as I greeted you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, shalom. Hotep, Islam, Alafia. Peace.